and 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, go ahead. Continue.
So what happens is a lot of times, if it's family, we think, oh, they didn't mean it. They were just mad at me for a second. And then we let it go. Instead of correcting it, like, don't come into my field in that frequency. That's not an appropriate frequency to interact with me in.
That's right.
If it doesn't feel like love, I don't want it. It cannot enter. Everybody could write this down. If it is not love, it may not enter my field. You know.
I just had a funny thought. Take your shoes off before you enter the temple. 'Cause
yeah. Right. Don't be dragging that mud and dust in here.
No.
And all those microscopic things. Yeah.
So saying that made me think about the necessity of seeing ourselves as sacred and how the sacred is worth defending.
Oh my goodness, that's brilliant. The sacred is worth defending. Welcome to Call for the Truth. I am LaOta of the Sun, and this is Tarvars of the Sun. We welcome you to join us today in our discussion. And Tarvars, will you call us in for the Call for Truth before we begin?
Most certainly. And we encourage you all to join us in the Call for the Truth for these frequencies. Shall we call forth the frequency of truth? Shall we call to see the truth in all that we see? Shall we call to hear the truth in all that we hear? Shall we call to speak the truth, calling forth the courage to speak the truth? Shall we call forth nothing less than the truth to come forward into our experience? As we feel this truth move into our being, if you do desire to continue following us on our Call for Truth in these highly elevated conversations, hit that like, subscribe, and that bell notification for these posts. So we're here today, we're talking about energetic protection.
Yay!
And defense.
Yes.
We have an upcoming class in March.
That's right.
We're showing people how to sword and shield.
Yeah, and you will be teaching this class you've been teaching this class for several years now, and this is a really important class for most people to take. I feel like it's really a necessary aspect of growing up, taking this class, so you can learn what is and what is not, and what you can do and what is recommended.
Yeah, it's like sizing yourself up to what you thought was the bully.
Yes.
And not taking it no more.
Yeah.
And that don't mean you gotta become the bully or chase people down and with your new karate spiritually, but more so understanding how to manage your energy. But even more so, the class is really founded on this card from the Call for the Truth deck, protection. You protect yourself by knowing who you are. Know who you are. These were your words.
Yes.
And when I was curating the class and that card popped up, my guidance prompted me to have that as a component, because that's the essence of what we're teaching around. And when you understand that only what you allow and permit can happen to you, when you understand that you got laws, principles that are supporting you based off of the thoughts you think, being able to move yourself out of the vibrational proximity of hurt and harm, and it can only come to you if you're entertaining fear, guilt, shame, or whatever other low frequency that's in resonance. It changes the game. But if we don't know that, we get pummeled throughout life. And so it's definitely a growing up and learning how to defend yourself. And even like send some stuff back. Hey, get this off of me. Take that. Return back to center. So what inspired you? Like, I want to go back to that card pool, the protecting yourself by knowing who you are. Know who you are. What was it that you saw in your experience that inspired you to make that a maxim, make that something we use in the cards?
I grew up with a lot of things that happened that taught me that. I want to share a story. I had a really close friend, and she and I we're both teenagers, and we were taking buses in Chicago from one location to another, and we're both standing at the bus stop, and she had gone to a music class where she had these two wooden African instruments that you hit again.
Or something?
That's what they call it. And somebody ran by us at the bus stop and snatched her purse. And she ran after him. She had the claves in her hand. She ran after them and threw the claves at him, and then sat on him, and then hit him with claves and got her purse, and then went back to the bus stop, and we got on the bus.
How much did she weigh? I'm like, what? She's like, I'm using my body. Disarm this man.
Well, she eventually did join the police department.
Okay.
But she was not as big as I am.
Oh, wow.
But she was not, I towered
like
over her. I was
average-sized
probably
woman.
a normal sized woman. I was probably a foot taller than her. So maybe she looked like a better victim, but they were wrong.
Yeah, she hit him with the "shall you not have what I will not give you." Hey! I bet he didn't see that coming.
And then she snatched her purse and got back in time to get on the bus with me. So I was saying that to say that may have been who she was, but many of us need to get some of that. It's this idea that my granddaughter, when she was 16, I bought her some boxing gloves, not because I wanted her to be a boxer, but because I wanted her to know that when somebody stepped into her space, she still owned the space. So I come from a background of people who are in martial arts. And so I have that understanding from childhood, but it doesn't mean I actually ever did anything with it. It's more that I had that understanding that if someone steps into your space in an aggressive way, you now are challenged to see who you are. Maybe just for you. Maybe you just need to see who you are. Like, oh, let me step back. What I have noticed in nature is, and I'm sure all of you have seen these adorable videos of cats who, a bear comes into the backyard and they attack them.
Yeah,
You know,
cats are ferocious.
like they're like little house cats, or somebody who's got a massive pit bull and he looks at their kitten and they walk up and step into his space. and that's kind of it. So this is the reality of what should happen to all of us because of the world we live in, that we have to own who are we. In those moments when somebody tries to take your lunch money, which happened to me, or somebody wants to push you around, you discover who you are. And then you can then hone who you are into what you want to be. So it's not like you're born able to be the cat and combat the bear. But once you realize, and what I realized as I grew up, is that it didn't have anything to do with size, it had to do with ferocity. How determined am I to not let you do something to me? That's the reality. Like, how determined are you to not let anti-life have its way with you? How determined are you to not let wrongdoing get all over you? How determined are you to not allow someone else's evil to interfere with you? That's a decision that you make before an incident. And then the clarity of that carries through automatically. So whether you decide, maybe it's one of those flight and not fight situations, maybe I need to, which is fine to do, and it's an option. Or whether you look at it and you think, I'm clearer about who I am than they are about what they want to do to me. And then we shall see. And that's the trial and error that I often talk about with human development. So even though you're talking about spiritual matters, it is a spiritual matter. Who you think you are, you can't determine until you are challenged. So once you are challenged, when somebody snatches your purse and you be like, well, I guess I'm going to get on the bus without my purse. Or you like, boy, I didn't even have a chance to think. I'm gone. Got my purse back, LaOta. Let's get on. Like before he gets up.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of experience, and that's what must happen first. You must decide who are you in relation to whatever it is that you think you will be in opposition to. And then you decide how deeply are you that. I have noticed that the clarity of thought will keep someone from accosting you. your clarity, like, don't come over here. It would not be good. It would not go well. I've had that thought, like, would not go well for you if you go over here. And that's enough to think, oh, I think I'll go that way.
So let's take it back a bit. So there's a number of different things that you shared. The taking up space, because that's a thing that we teach in the energetic protection and defense class, where often people walk around with a level of timidity, or where even their body language, which is, as you said, all of it is everything. It's all spiritual. The physical is a direct representation of the spiritual, and the posture and the crouching and the tiptoeing and the whispering is an indicator of where the person is spiritually in terms of taking up space. And so this idea of taking up the space is really about the light and broadcasting it, but going back to what you were saying, the deciding and choosing who and what you are. Do you know who you are, and how deep do you know that? And I see that, again, it's happening on every level. It's happening physically, it's happening emotionally, mentally, and of course spiritually. And going back to what you ended with, because that's really what I was thinking, what you ended with was, if we can just move ourselves into the mental space to decide, it will influence the environment. It makes, also what comes to mind is people who are bullied or also find themselves victims to abuse and predatory. The example you used was great, and there are many where it's like, again, it's almost like blood in the sea for sharks, and they can sense it, because the mind isn't made up, the spirit isn't made up, the identification isn't quite there of like, don't do that, I'm not the one. So this class is to build up that understanding of, you can be that too, and again, it's not necessarily that we're looking for a fight, but it's what we're communicating to the field, and that's what I understand that you're sharing.
It is. It's very multidimensional, though. So if you are a child and you live in a house with someone who's constantly arguing with everybody and trying to make people do things and trying to control everything, and you might get on the bus and get hit because you're in the frequency field of someone who likes to fight. And so you got that all over you. You're like, oh, I need to get on the shower before I get on the bus, because somebody's going to want to fight me because the people I live with want to fight. Because that's the frequency field that you sleep in, that you wake up in. So it's multidimensional in that way. When you're at a point where you can identify and create your own frequency field, then you want to fill it with mantras and affirmations and thoughts that support who you want to be. It's not so much who you were born to be, it's who are you intending to be in any given moment.
Because it's not just a given.
It's not just a given. And it's not given that every battle you won't get punched.
Yeah.
It's not, that doesn't mean that darkness won't find some way in through some crevice you're unaware of. However, the idea of understanding that an affirmation, a practice, a meditation can change everything, though. It takes you, if there's 100 victims and 3 of them are meditating, doing affirmations and protecting themselves, it's 97 other people who go first. Like, why get the one who's the strongest? You're strengthened by your clarity of being. You're strengthened by the silence, going into the silence. You're strengthened by affirming. It is through repetition and affirming that we become and have become who we are. The person who gets beat up on the bus because their parents are arguing is the person who's been in the house for 20 years with the parents arguing.
Yeah.
It's repetition. Mm-hmm. So it's the same idea. So that's really what I was saying.
Reinforming the field, repetition, and standing up, owning your space, and where again it informs people on all dimensional levels. So
I'm more speaking about the things that you wouldn't necessarily spend time teaching in class, but
yeah, which is good because come to class, right?
Well, but I can remember taking trains in Chicago as a teenager. I had to take 2 trains and 2 buses to get to high school. So I was 13, 14 years old in a big city with rush hour. And I remember being told by my father, who was a policeman, he's like, walk with purpose and direction. Do not look like you don't know where you're going, even if you don't. You look like you do. Then he says, don't make eye contact and hold it for too long, because people will consider it an invitation or a challenge. So then you have, so I remember learning that, to walk like, I don't know where I am, but let me go stand in front of this board and look like I can read. Yes, and
I'm a native here.
Yes,
I know where I'm going.
Yeah, put that camera away.
Right, I'll be all like, oh, where are we?
And so that was his advice, and I think it still holds true. I've traveled all over the world and used that as it, and wouldn't know where I was going. When I'm confidently going where I'm not knowing where I'm going.
Essentially, I want to.
Where's the most dangerous place to keep your money right now? And I'll prove it in 60 seconds. Most people think banks are safe. They believe their deposits are sitting in a vault with their name on it. But here's the truth. The moment you hand money to the bank, it's no longer yours. Legally, you're a creditor. And in a crisis, creditors are paid last, if at all. Banks don't protect your money. They use it. They lend it, they leverage it, and gamble it. If their bets go bad, you carry the risk. And if inflation rises, your safe savings lose. They lose value every single year. That's why millionaires don't park cash in banks. They park cash in assets. History proves it. Cyprus 2013, deposits frozen, savers lost billions. Argentina, Venezuela, Turkey, currencies collapsed, savings evaporated. Even in the US, over 500 banks failed since 2008. And yet, central banks themselves are quietly stacking gold at record levels. Why? Because they know the real safety lies. Because they know where the real safety lies. So here's how you protect yourself. Keep only what you need for daily liquidity in the bank. Move the rest into assets that can't be frozen or printed. Things like gold, real estate, and private equity. Build a reserve outside the system so you own your money, not rent it. Start now, because the riskiest place to keep wealth is where everyone else feels safe.
Shift gears a little bit and touch on two different things. One, the emotional, like when people are emotionally attacked, because that's a thing. It's not often that people are, well, in the world that happens, but a lot of people experience this in their households and at their workplace, where people are thinking things, people are feeling things, sending negative emotions, sending negative intent. They feel jealousy, they feel envy, they feel anger, they feel vindictive energy, but feel pummeled by it. How does this apply to that?
Well, it's really a similar idea. We have, in the same way, you have to identify what's going on. You have to know what's happening. You have to sit quietly, go into the silence. Is that my thought? It's not my thought. Is that a thought I'm familiar with? Does that look like the thought of the person who sleeps in that room? It is from them. They're just thinking this over and over and over again, and I am feeling it. So there are several things that can be done. You can put a barrier around yourself where it bounces off and goes back to them. You can have the clarity that you can keep your own space free of someone else's thoughts by filling your space with your definitive, enlightened thought. You can fill your space up with positive thoughts that it's incompatible with, that the negative is not a frequency match. And so it'll just keep on going down the hall to look for the frequency match. So there's several things. But
so this is bringing to mind the necessity of mastery over your mind, like reclaiming back your power, your sovereignty with what's going on up here. And I do see that it requires some effort. It requires, like you say, you keep saying move into the stillness. And when I hear you say stillness, I hear like, let me be mindful. Let me be aware, like what is really happening, instead of being on autopilot and the next thing you know, you're knocked upside the head with a negative thought or emotion from outside that you just happen to fall into resonance with. And so would you speak a little bit about the necessity for us to kind of get a grip on what's happening mentally?
I think even before, yes, that's important, but even before that is we have to know that we can know. Like we have to have I can know what's going on.
I think that's very important. Most people don't know that they can know who said that. I know who. follow the energetic breath. That came from you. I got something for you.
Yeah, well, it's really that clarity. No one taught us that we can know what people are doing when they're not talking to us.
Yeah, it's that fourth wall you talk about.
It's that idea. It's like you keep getting in your head, call so-and-so, call so-and-so. I'm like, stop it. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
You know,
like, LaOta, call me. LaOta, please call me, LaOta. Please. LaOta, please. It's ridiculous.
I'm like,
my family's like that, so I'm acting out what I've seen with them. And you're...
No, but it has happened to me, but mostly I'm like, it would be better to be respectful. You can send me a text, because I'm not liking that. I don't like this.
But LaOta, please. It's 911.
Then you ought to send a text. out of respect for the current level of humanity we live in. It's not that I didn't get the message, but it's so rude of you to interrupt my thoughts with your thought. You're just going to barge into my thought. Call me, call me, call me. Like, that's not appropriate.
Yeah. So again, we're cracking up, but this is a reality that I think many people experience it, but again, as you say, don't quite realize that they have the capacity to recognize where the source of this.
They recognize it with lovers and boyfriends and girlfriends. They recognize it there. It's like, ooh, he wants me to call him. You know, I can feel it. He's sitting there saying, call me, call me. So they recognize it where they want
That's
to.
a good point.
Where they want to, you know. And then when things go badly, they recognize it. Ooh, he's sending me bad energy.
Yeah.
You know, or she is. But the reality is that we have the power to know. You have the power to know whatever is going on. Mostly we don't look, or we have a bias. Like, oh, they're so sweet, they wouldn't do that.
Shoot. I gotta take a sip of my grapefruit juice. Shut up.
Or like, they don't mean, they are like, people tell me, they'll say, oh, my girlfriend, she was so mean to me, she said mean things, and then she did something mean, and then she told somebody something mean, and I'm like, so you're calling me to help you with this? And they're like, no, she didn't mean it. And I'm like, okay. Looks like she meant it to me. She did it 6 times.
Example 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, go ahead. Continue.
So what happens is, a lot of times, if it's family, we think, oh, they didn't mean it. They were just mad at me for a second. And then we let it go. Instead of correcting it, like, don't come into my field in that frequency. That's not an appropriate frequency to interact with me in.
That's right.
If it doesn't feel like love, I don't want it. It cannot enter. Everybody could write this down. If it is not love, it may not enter my field. You know.
I just had a funny thought. Take your shoes off before you enter the temple. 'Cause
yeah. Right. Don't be dragging that mud and dust in here.
No.
And all those microscopic things. Yeah.
So saying that made me think about the necessity of seeing ourselves as sacred, and how the sacred is worth defending.
Oh my goodness, that's brilliant. The sacred is worth defending. We should put that should be on a billboard.
Yeah, I'm gonna write that down.
Yes, you are. Yeah, that's a great quote. Write that down.
It is, because we forget. We don't.
Caps.
Yeah, all caps. I got you. I got you, all caps. But that's what comes to mind, because we often talk about how we are sacred, and our guidance and allies have been helping, and specifically the divine feminine, helping us see that not only we are sacred, but the unfoldment of the field and what's around us is sacred. What is real is sacred. What is fake, not so much. You know, but how we've lost it, and we can see it in our clear relationship with the Mother Earth, with our mothers, with women, with children. Some of the most sacred things in terms of like humanity that would support the continuation of humanity.
We can see it in nature. Nature is our guide for the universal laws and principles, and we can see what your dog does when somebody tries to mess with your children. See what happens when a cat tries to mess with, when something tries to mess with a cat's kitten. Look at them defend the sacred. Defend it maliciously,
Yeah.
like, oh, you don't understand? Let me.
Yeah, they have a 5'10" adult rethink it. I don't know. It's kind
Yeah, like it is the ferocity with which you hold your sacredness that allows you to not ever have to be in an encounter. The clarity that the person has of how sacred they are and how they are, it is their birthright to maintain that purity, has to do with how something will walk up on you. You don't know that, something might walk up on you.
Yeah.
You know that it is unlikely that they will choose you because you will fight for your sacredness. You're going to be hard to mess with.
Yeah.
That's really the key to all of it. It's like, I tell people sometimes, often people call about this idea of being attacked, and I say, you know, it really has to do with your disposition. They're like, yeah, but that's not working. I'm like, that's because you haven't examined who you are yet. You don't know what you think. You don't know where the holes are. You are worthy of exploration to find out, what do you think? What beliefs do you hold that are untrue? What agreements have you accepted with wrongdoing that when wrongdoing feels comfortable coming up to you?
Yeah. Leaves that gaping hole of opportunity.
Yeah, what
resonant invitation.
At what level of being talked to wrongly are you in agreement with? Well, he only called me one name.
Yeah, I didn't get hit that hard. All I got is a knot. They didn't break my arm because last time they did, but they didn't this time.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's such an abusive relationship. It hit me, but like, I'm okay, I love him. They're family members. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's exactly that.
It's the same. Yeah.
It's exactly that. It's that making excuses to defend wrongdoing. You can expect wrongdoing to visit you.
Yeah, that's a really
wrongdoing.
good point.
It's like, this is the house where wrongdoing. You can go there. They will defend it. Knock on that door.
That's so interesting. Just thinking of how we have been molded and conditioned to accept abuse.
Yes.
And be fearful to stand up to it and say, I don't want this, or I'm unavailable. And it does, like, again, standing up for yourself does not have to be punching them in the throat with truth. It could be simply, I'm unavailable for this type of conversation.
It's not about them. It's all about you.
Yes.
It's not about darkness or anti-life or negative or evil being evil. It's about you being correct. It's not about, it has no power except what power you give it. It is just relentless. So you must be relentlessly clean and elevated and in the frequencies where it is not allowed.
Let's talk a little bit about that relentlessness, because, you know, people of the light be passive, you know, it's limp. And
let's hug it out.
Yeah. Let's cry together.
Let's not. Let's
like, get that out of here. All right. So I'm thinking about people who often they have this experience of where we're talking again about passivity and how the light is not necessarily broadcasting strong enough to offset the negativity, and people will say things such as, dang, like they're just so negative, they're so, you know, and throughout the years you have said, yeah, negativity is persistent. And how I have seen it is that, like, for example, like, fear is going to be fear.
Right.
Anger is going to be anger. And it's just a frequency broadcasting,
right.
And it don't stop being what it is until it's transmitted.
And it remains at its frequency decimal. Yeah. It remains fear, remains fear. You know, each thing remains what it is. It doesn't change its decimal or its quality or its frequency number. It remains what it is.
But in that remaining of what it is, somehow humanity, souls have the perception that, it's strong, it's just, it won't stop. What's happening here?
The meeting of frequency, the part that you're afraid of, that lives in you as fear, is feels overwhelmed by the fear that comes in to meet it.
Deep.
It is all about you. It is not about what's outside of you, although we are all one and you are the other self. It is all about your clarity and congruency within yourself, and there's nothing wrong with the fact that we're growing into it.
True.
It happens through trial and error. That's what Earth is all about. If there were no need for you to learn, there'd be no need for you to be here. You know, the ones of us who are on this planet all still have lessons to learn.
A graduate.
Yeah, we're all learning, and the ones who are gone, I don't know what they're doing, but they're not here learning.
Yeah. They're not walking around campus.
So when somebody's walking around and they're all that in the bag of chips, it's like, but you're on Earth, aren't you?
Yeah.
You must be still learning.
Yeah. Go on and go to second period. You late. Over here trying to stretch your ego around.
Yeah.
I feel you.
I get it. You're going for your doctorate, but you're still on Earth.
Still here.
You know?
So I get it. Respect the process, but there's also...
Don't be mad at yourself if you're not ferocious and things slap you around every now and then. Just gain clarity. Decide that's not the experience you want to have, and decide it deeply. And that will help stop it. It is your decision about who you are that matters most. The techniques and the kung fu and the jujitsu and all of this mastery in the unseen, all of that sounds really good, but you don't need it if you are through and through who you are, and that may take a lifetime to figure out. You know, it may take a lifetime for you to realize, oh, I thought this thing was something else and I was in agreement with it, but it's just another dark psyop agenda that I was in agreement with. Now that aspect can get into me and can hurt me. Because I thought it was the truth. I thought parent planning was a good thing. I didn't realize what it was. I didn't realize it was an agenda to get rid of people. So as long as I believed that was true and I told other people and propagated it, then that could bite me. So it's things like that. What are we looking at? This time of exposure of the truth is so good for all of us because it exposes things that we half believed, kind of believed, thought we believed, didn't even know we believed. And now we can clean all that up and align ourselves with what we want the world to look like, not the bill of goods that has been sold to us on the Brooklyn Bridge that was sold to us. You know, like, believe this, because, you know, this is for people, and this is for freedom, and it's eugenics. It's all about, like, kill everybody.
Yeah.
You know, so...
And if we knew who we were, we wouldn't be...
And we certainly would
likely respond differently.
And we would see that, oh, I'm not in agreement with killing, even if it's wrapped up in another package. I don't agree with that. Even if everybody else is protesting and saying they do, I'm not in agreement with that. And then that protects us from the darkness that they all have in their signs. You know?
I love that you continue to bring it back to, you got to know who you are. You got to know who you are. You got to know who you are. Techniques are cool, but the techniques actually are fueled by knowing who you are, because they do not work as effectively if you don't realize what you are. Yeah, and but that's one of the reasons why we have that at the top of the class. Yeah,
but you might, you know, you can use that as you grow and learn through the trial and error of your educational process on the earth plane. You know, so I'm not saying it's not a good thing. I have quite a few of them in my back pocket. It's like, I could pull one out.
Yeah, but you pulling it out and knowing who you are, make that it's like a +10 on the attack scale or something.
Yeah,
it increases its potency.
Well, it makes my 2 holsters of my gunslinger. I don't need the bullets.
Why? You shoot with your heart? You aim with your... You remember the face of your mother and your father? Yes. That's an inside joke.
I don't need the bullets to shoot the clarity of who I am. The who I am is the bullet. You know, it's like anything that we would be averse to, lies, cheating, stealing, and all the other heinous acts that people have, those things don't interact well with the level of clarity. It's like, no. That's a no for me. Like a deep, clear, resounding no. Like, with the look that I'm...
Oh, yeah, I'm over here like, let me feel that no. Let me measure that no. Rooted. Now, Hurricane Katrina can't uproot this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we hope you have enjoyed our conversation today about the new classes coming up and energetic protection and the many, many multidimensional levels and layers. If you are interested in this class, begin now examining who you are. You are worthy of examination. You are sacred. And the sacred must be protected and is worthy of protection.
All right, here we go. This is good. Today's card pull is Truth. Let he who calls for the truth in the times of lies be prepared for war.
Yes. Yes, so we thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again soon in Lakesh and Veritas with honor, respect, gratitude, integrity, discipline, and action. Thank you.